What makes a person a criminal? Despite the efforts of Lambroso, Kretschmer, Huro, and Sheldon, any of them could find a determinant biological or morphological relation between the serial killers due to the weakness of their studies results. That's why the research was focused on the genetic field, but without abandoning them completely. The human karyotype is made up of 47 chromosomes, 22 identical pairs, and the sexual one, XX for women and XY for men. Through multiple studies, Joanna 2013 points out that one of the first anomalies with relevance to criminal behavior is the emergence of a supplemental type X chromosome, which leads to the formula 47XXY, an anomaly which was called the Klinefelter syndrome. It affects the testicular growth, which reduces the testosterone production. Should the patient to have this syndrome, it might cause muscular mass, corporal and facial hair reduction, and enlarging of breast tissue. Looking up for mental features from serial killers, it was identified the emotional affective instability. Joanna 2013 firmly states that some of the main reasons for an individual to acquire this lack of love in childhood is caused by the failure to comply with social demands, causing a sort of rejection in the affiliation groups, like school or the family, influencing the child's mind to feel underestimated. Another reason could be the absence of an appropriate family structure because of the lack of interest in raising the child, as a consequence of the loss of a parent due to death, divorce, or abandonment. The concern of providing a quality education due to low socioeconomic and cultural levels, alcoholism problems, and so on.
John Wayne Greenways was born on March 17, 2014, 40, in Chicago. He died on May 10 in 1994. He was raised by an abusive alcoholic father and a Pacific mother and a sister. They even call him Johnny. He dropped out of his senior year and got caught up with all his family contact and left to Las Vegas and lied about his age to get a job. He was an ambulance driver at the Palm of Terry Memorial Park. He eventually enrolled his graduation from the business college in 1963. Gracie would later become involved in a politic activism, construction, and several other fields, while carrying up in 1975, Gracie created a costume for charity events with the nickname Poggy the Clown, that eventually led to his new nickname, the Killer Clown. According to Gracie Confessions, he will pick up casual men's runway or male prostitutes in the mid-20s or early 20s from Chicago, in the stations or in the streets. Then he will take them back to his house, even promising them money, sex, or offering Jim a job at his construction company. Simply grabbing them by the force and taking a gun point to the car. Once they got back to his house, he would handcuff them or tie them up anyway they're looking intoxicating or with alcohol or knocking them down. He will torture them in various ways, such as his bathtub, and he would place them hands down, even by killing them and ordering them on them. He will rape his victims either before or after killing them. They were he had environment, he probably considered all his actions were good.
Responding to the question, what makes a criminal and what made John Wayne Gacy become one of the worst criminals of the US? John Wayne had not any identified mental or physical illness from birth or genetically. Yet it is believed that it was his own experience as a child that impelled him to these atrocities. As my teammate Edgar said, emotional affective instability in childhood is one of the mental features of serial killers. John comes from a family where the father wasn't abusive. He constantly belittled him and beat him by calling him a faggot or a sissy. Consequently, the boy's insecurities and distortion about his sexuality began and grew over the years when a friend of his parents began abusing him at the age of 9. At this point, all of his life has been violence and abuse. In 1968, he committed a crime at his 26 years, sexually abusing against a 15-year-old boy. After this, he was evaluated with antisocial personality disorder. However, he only had 18 months on jail because of good behavior. Someone with antisocial personality disorder will typically be manipulative, deceitful, and reckless, and will not care for others people's feelings, as in Wayne's case. He even enjoyed killing. Seeing the blood rushing out of his body turned me on, is what Wayne said in one of his confessions. In conclusion, we can infer that a criminal is not born but made. As we all know, our personality and character is formed in childhood. Were to have a bad childhood, he will probably grow up to be a bad adult. We must be careful with the education and the example we give to children around us, as well take care of them and prevent any harm or abuse happening of them. And unfortunately, it happens, address it in the best way to overcome it and not turn into a trauma that drags into adulthood.